Okay, so in other words, put beyond, in other words, they weren't affected by it. Yes, trust kept continued. Okay, until the Sherman Antitrust Act. Yes. Okay, let's take a look up at the screen. Go ahead and hit the lights there. I think yesterday we ended with say, the video. Anybody want to reenact it? Who's doing the arm wrestling? Yeah? Who's going to be the strong guy in the video? Is that you, Matt? Okay, Matt's going to be the strong person. And who's going to be Michael Jackson drinking the elixir that makes him really powerful? Is that going to be you, Lindsay? Okay. So who's going to win?
Can I be the person that takes their money and scams them?
There we go. So you're Paul McCartney. Okay. Now that is a no-no today. Yeah, I did yesterday. I did something really, 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 really bad. You know what I did? I actually ate Oreos.
Okay.
I'm trying not to. But I actually did that. Did you look at the labels yesterday, Madison, of the food you were eating? After the Food and Drug Act? You should. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in there that you kind of wonder, why am I eating this stuff?
They say if you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't eat it, but every label has stuff you can't pronounce.
I couldn't agree more. Did you ever see? Now, you want to know something else about this Pure Food and Drug Act? Okay. That, well, the meat inspection and the Pure Food and Drug Act. Did you ever see those medicine commercials on TV that just drive me absolutely crazy? And then people wonder why prescription drugs are so expensive. Well, how much do you think it costs to put those commercials out there? Propecia or whatever it is. Yeah. But then do you ever see it real fast at the end? They talk about it. Might cause this, might cause that. And sometimes I wonder, well, then why am I taking this?
My body will feel itself eventually. I hate when they make commercials saying like about
might cause a heart attack, but go ahead and take it.
Don't take it allergic to Benadryl. Like it's promoting this, like you're taking Benadryl, but don't take it for like. Well, they have to say that. Yeah, but like that's the product.
That is the Pure Food and Drug Act. That's what it's all about. And companies don't want to get sued, so they make sure they tell you everything.
Like it might cause heart attack, death, extreme sunburn.
Yeah, but it'll make you feel better, so take it. I know we're exaggerating a little bit, but
no, those are literally actual symptoms that are written.
Okay, but again, the whole point of showing you that Michael Jackson video was to emphasize, what you can't do that. That's naughty.
No lie.
You can't promise. But obviously, there are companies that cut corners. I think we know that. Okay, so we get the idea here. All right, Mueller versus Oregon. Let me see, where was I at here? Yeah, we were here. All right, the Mueller versus Oregon case. This we do want to know. Of course, we took a look at this for homework today. Let's read through the left side there. Mueller versus Oregon. Go, John, go, please. And that's Louis Brandeis, who was the first practicing Christian Jew, to be elected to the Supreme Court. Brandeis, name to mention. Okay, go ahead, Louis.
Louis D. Brandeis, assisted by Florence Kelley and Josephine Goldmark, argued for working women were much more economically insecure than large corporations. They asserted that women's protection is required by the state against powerful employers.
Okay, so what are we doing there in those first two sentences? What are we saying about women? Call out, Lindsay.
They're weaker, so the government has to put special regulations for them, protect them from corporations abusing them.
Ben, do you agree with this? Do you agree with this? That women are weak or need government protection?
No.
See, you're kind of in a tough spot there when I ask that question. Ben says no. What do you think, Lindsay?
I mean, it depends what it is. I guess if you're providing women those protections, you should provide men the same protections.
Okay. Kemper, what do you say?
There's some things that physically, it's very hard for women to get to the same place as men. Unless you're actively bodybuilding, it's easier for guys. But mentally, I'm pretty sure they're on the same level and they can do the same things and protect themselves.
Women are much more economically insecure. What do you think?
It's not that big of a gap. I don't know what that means.
Well, especially
Economically,
in the
pay,
1900s,
living status, social economic status
definitely
In this
then.
time period,
in this time period. Okay.
it wasn't as bad as before, but they still couldn't vote or anything. They're still having their own suffrage.
Anybody else? Katie, weigh in.
I think for the time period, just the right thing to do, or it should happen.
Okay, keep going, John.
Mueller versus Oregon confirmed that labor laws designed to protect women specifically are constitutional, even while ruling that similar laws for men are not. The Oregon state law limiting women's working hours was legal because women are the only gender able to have children, hence the state is justified in creating laws to protect them. Other states use this to limit women's working hours to 10 a day.
You really have to know this case because this is going to be changed, okay? But what we're doing is passing laws to protect women, the big one being in the place of employment and limiting the hours that women can work, okay? That's the key of this case, Mueller versus Oregon. That's going to come up later. After women get the right to vote, some of this stuff goes out the window and says, well, women can vote now, so basically we don't need special laws for women. That's what's coming in the 50s and 60s. Okay? All right, so the effects. Katie, please.
Positive results. Women empowered to organize into unions, increased job training for women, gave legal focus and direction, new women's liberation movement.
In no way, shape, or form, though, could we say it was equal. And I think you picked up on that. No. Especially, and I'll tell you something that maybe you didn't even think of, but divorce laws. Divorce laws definitely favored men in 1920. Okay? Definitely favored men. Okay? No two ways about it. Things have become equal. Okay? Especially in the 2000s, but it was not always that way. All right? A man would get divorced, take everything. And that happened. All right? Okay. Now, what's something else I want you to know? It also showed, because this is actually a court case, don't forget. We're not talking about state law. This is a court case. So what you're actually doing, what's the court actually doing here? I want you to know this. What's the court actually doing? This is not a congressional law. This is a state law that went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court's ruling that limitations for women is constitutional. So what's the Supreme Court doing? Think of this on a political science level. What is the court doing here?
Seeing if they can try to integrate it to national law.
Yeah, exactly. What the court's doing by making this law, the court is actually passing a law. Literally. Think about it. Okay? The court is actually doing what the legislature is supposed to do. All right? So take a look at this. It also showed that making judges aware of social and economic conditions could help win their approval. And when we have Brown versus the board, okay, you actually have the states, you actually have the courts passing legislation. That's really what comes out of this, believe it or not, okay? So we have one state, but it becomes policy for the whole country. All right? Okay, let's go to our next topic then, involving Theodore Roosevelt. National spokesman for the movement, made a national crusade. Conservation is a moral issue. Two schools of thought. What's preservation? What's conservation? What's the difference? Anybody tell me, what's the difference? Lindsay.
Preservation is like you can't touch it, you can't go near it. Conservation is just like you can use it, but in like regulation.
Within regulations, yes. And I think of like timbering forests. You might timber the forest, but we're not building houses and corporations and buildings there. Okay? That's conservation. Conservation club. Anybody involved in that? It doesn't mean you can't catch the fish that you're putting in the creek. That's the difference. Preservation, you don't fish, you don't touch it. All right? Okay, so let's take a look over here. Preservation, the Sierra Club. All right? Sometimes very anti-hunting, but not in all cases. John Muir is the founder of the Sierra Club. All right? Preserve resources, tries to prevent a dam in the Hetch Hetchy. This Hetch Hetchy Valley in Yosemite, California becomes very controversial. I was listening to a blog. I wish I could find it because I would have us listen to it. Where the guy was talking about that. He actually remembers the impact of the damming of Hetch Hetchy. Now you think about damming a waterway, you think that's a good thing because we're preserving water. Not everybody agrees with that. Don't forget, you're changing the land forever. And we're seeing a lot of that happen, believe it or not, with some of the droughts that we have out west. Because of the way the Los Angeles Aqueduct, which drains a lot of water out of the northwest, and then they're saying that some of the creeks are drying up. Yeah, they are, but a lot of that is not because of lack of rain. A lot of that is actually because of the way we are irrigating the ground and draining the groundwater, taking it out. Okay? Now, conservation would be Gifford Pinchot. Anybody ever heard of Gifford Pinchot State Park by any chance? Where's it at? You know?
I don't know. I've been there. I don't know where it's at.
It's actually right down 83, just below Harrisburg. Okay?
I know like where it is, but I can't think like exactly where it is.
Just north of York is where it is, yeah. So conservation, multiple use for resources, resource management, long-term planning, and then reclamation. That would be like coal mines that are no longer in use. We reclaim that. Okay? So Gifford Pinchot, let's take a look at this. Anybody remember what happens to him from your American Vision work? John?
He gets fired.
Yeah, he gets fired, which really upset too. Roosevelt was cranky over this. That was his man, yes. All right, so let's read through that. Kemper, please.
Guilford Pinchot, Secretary of the U.S. Forest Service. The art of producing from the forest whatever is needed for the service of man.
Okay. Keep going.
Roosevelt, a sportsman, realized the values of conservation and persuaded by other conservationists like Guilford Pinchot, Roosevelt's friend, helped initiate massive conservation projects.
And there you can see where Gifford Pinchot State Park is. Okay. All right, John Muir is the founder of the Sierra Club. Now he's different. Okay, he's a preservationist. All right, so let's take a look at this. Katie.
Muir's three-night camping trip with President Theodore Roosevelt in 1903 could be considered the most significant camping trip in conservation history. He was able to persuade Roosevelt to return Yosemite Valley and the Mariposa Grove to federal protection as part of Yosemite National Park. The trip would have a lasting impact on the president. Muir's final crusade to prevent the city of San Francisco from building a dam and creating a massive water reservoir in Yosemite's Hetchy Valley ended in bitter defeat with federal approval of the project in 1913. Muir died a year later on Christmas Eve at age 76.
So damming that valley, take a look at that valley, and now all of a sudden you dam that. It changes. Big changes, okay? And we're actually seeing that. Now, again, a lot of times in a lot of places out west, in fact, where the Hoover Dam is, north of Las Vegas, they're talking about that starting to go down at water levels. Now, maybe that does have to do with climate change. Maybe it does have to do with lots of rain. But the other thing it has to do with is irrigation and using a lot of the groundwater, okay? There you can see the Hetch Hetchy Aqueduct, okay? San Francisco received permission to build a Hetch Hetchy, a part of Yosemite Park, causing much controversy. You see what happened? Look at the differences. So cattle, farmland, anything here. No, not going to happen. Insects, natural land. No, gone. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at this. What does Roosevelt do? Roosevelt, please.
148 million acres, larger than Jersey, 5 national parks. Gifford Pinchot was put in charge. Page 51 from the back.
And we'll read through that next week, but let's take a look at this. Keep going.
Summary of the conversation is Theodore Roosevelt. His record of environmental conservation is unsurpassed as president. He established 4 national game preserves, 5 national parks, 7 conservation conferences, 18 national monuments, 24 reclamation projects, 51 federal bird reservations, and 150 national forests. He set aside and protected 230 million acres of future generations.
Okay, keep going there, bro.
Teddy Roosevelt was a great conservationist, expanded the powers of the presidency, shaped the progressive movement, launched the Square Deal, a
Precursor.
to the New Deal that would later come later, a relationship between government and labor.
Okay, what is this square deal all about? What is the square deal? Let's take a look at this. Cornell, please.
The Square Deal was later largely incorporated into the platform of the Progressive Owners Party when Roosevelt was its candidate in the 1912 presidential election.
Okay, let's take a look at what the square deal actually is. John, over to you.
The square deal was later largely incorporated.
No, the left side there. Sure, read it.
Oh, never mind. Progressive concept by Roosevelt that would help capital, labor, and the public. It was called for control of corporations, consumer protection, and conservation of natural resources. It denounced special treatment for the large capitalists as the essential element to its trust-busting attitude. The deal embodied the belief that all corporations must serve the general public good.
Okay, all corporations must serve the general public good. There you can see Teddy Roosevelt. He was actually the person of the year. Okay? Now, take a look at this square deal. Now, do you ever hear someone say we're square? Okay? That means everything's okay. Take a look at this. John, you can read that. You can be Teddy Roosevelt.
All I ask is a square deal for every man. Give him a fair chance. Do not let him wrong anyone, and do not let him be wrong.
Okay? Katie, please.
80% of business was owned by trusts. See Northern Securities Railroad Trust filed 40 suits, regulated railroads, Hepburn Act, regulated maximum fees railroad could charge, consumer protection, conservation of the environment.
Okay, and there's your square deal, basically. Okay? Teddy Roosevelt's Square Deal was a program of progressive reforms designed to protect common people against big businesses. All right, let's talk about him. Getting to know Teddy. Come or go.
Image is on Mount Rushmore, the campaigns of the Battle of San Juan Hill and Tuba, sanctuary the Road to Panama Canal, first American to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, shot in 1912 while campaigning, saved by a book in his pocket. First president to visit a foreign country while in office, wrote several books.
Okay. P-roll.
Leader in New York politics, New York City Police Commissioner, Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Rough Rider, Volunteer Cavalry Brigade, acclaimed for his role in the Battle of San Juan Hill and Cuba, Governor of New York, Vice President of the United States, became president after President McKinley was assassinated in Buffalo.
So, McKinley was assassinated. Roosevelt was actually shot, but didn't die. And what happened is he actually had a speech rolled up in his coat pocket, like he was wearing a sport coat, and he had glasses in there. So the bullet actually lodged in the paper and the glasses, but didn't actually pierce his skin. And that can happen depending on the angle. So he actually said, myopia and long-windedness saved my life. Anybody figure out what he was saying?
His bad vision and his loud mouth that never stopped talking saved his life.
Yeah, because he had a big speech rolled up in there. It was more than one page. It was actually 50 pages. So long-windedness saved his life.
I'd never go to a speech.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. Go ahead into Canvas, please.
By the way, you didn't add the homework assignments on today's post.
What do you mean?
Like you didn't type them up.
Yeah, it's just like the
Type the links. I went to yesterday to look at the homework for the weekend. And it's not one today's.
Oh, but they're yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. All right. Well, let's take a look.